Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Medicine Podcast. I'm a host,
Woo.
Maddie Portland. I have another host.
I'm Hayley Carpick.
Hayley, how's it going?
It's good. How are you? It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, but I just saw you. IRL.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is cool.
I'm about to start grad school next month, and I got that fun message from my boss today at work that was like, hey, I need you to do something for me, but I know that you're pretty busy right now. Like, your schedule's pretty booked. Like, so do you have the bandwidth to take this on?
Ugh.
And I never usually get that question before I'm given something.
Oh.
So yeah.
Did you say no?
Usually it's just like, here, do this. No, I cracked under pressure immediately, and I was like, of course I do. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah, you're like, I've got plenty of time. I'm swimming in time.
Yeah, nothing but time as a 27-year-old homeowner.
So you said yes.
I did.
Maybe we need to learn how to say no.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I am working on it.
Same. It's tough. It's not easy.
It is really, really.
It's really challenging.
And that's almost why we didn't record it today.
But you know what? We're here after what felt like 7 failed attempts to record the pod.
Yep.
We made it. And that's all that matters.
Eighth one work.
Exactly. But well, look at you for not saying no. Does your job know that you're starting grad school, or are you just like totally keeping that under the radar?
No, they do.
For financial reasons, they know.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. So do you think they're going to still keep putting shit on your plate, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this isn't going to help the situation. Maybe between now
grad
and then,
school's just
we'll
like
learn how to say
another
no.
like initiative.
Yeah.
Like a side quest.
Yeah. And when do you start again?
May 28th.
Wow. What's the expected duration on this again?
18 months.
Okay. 18 beautiful months.
Blink
Our
of an
Ivy
eye.
Leaguer. Yeah, blink of an eye. Then you'll be on to bigger and better things.
I'm really hoping that I'm going to get there and I'm just going to be like, oh yeah, like all college, all school is the same. But I have a sneaking suspicion that this might be a bit challenging.
Yeah. Are you ready to start? You haven't been in school in what's the year? 2024. You haven't been in school in 5 years. Are you ready to study again?
How old I am? No, I'm kidding.
Well,
I'm not that old.
You're not that. Yeah, it's like what I just exposed that you're 50. No, you're 27.
Which is awesome because for this entire year I thought I was 28, and I'm turning 28. So it's like a fun little surprise.
When I was like on a flight or something. Yeah, it's like a mulligan. I was on a flight and I was like, well, I'm 28, and then I was like, no, I'm not. I'm 20. Why did I just skip over 27? So I'm really trying to embrace 27. Yeah. And now that you know you're 27, you really need to enjoy it.
Yeah. And
so are you ready to start studying again? Taking exams?
I know. I gotta find my next Hayley Carpick in this
send it my way. I'll figure it out. Do you think they got a chegg for this master's program?
Yeah, for microeconomics with a specific focus in healthcare. I'm sure there's.
Yeah, when you get your curriculum, I'm curious to see what it is. Send it my way.
All right.
You never know what I could help with. I mean, I took Ag Econ and Management 200 as a 5th year, and you'd say I'm well versed in things outside of pharmacy.
Okay.
Don't ask me what I got in Management 200, but I did take it. I was like 23 years old.
I know. And you're about to say I got like an A-, and you're going to be like, oh God.
No, I got a B. And a lot of people make fun of me for that. Mostly my brother, but a lot of people do. But I was in a class with like me and literally a million kids.
I took that class too. And
you took Management 200?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to say it was easy.
Sophomore. No, I'm not. I'm going to say that
it's kind of hard.
Yeah, it was like,
I don't know what I was doing. I also did show up hungover to class like every time.
I don't want to dox him. I don't want to even name him because I feel like he's kind of beloved. But like, I honestly didn't think he was that great. I was like, kind of feel like I'm teaching myself Management 200 right now and doing a
Yeah.
poor job of it.
I had Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And on the first day of class, it was fall semester of like my third year of pharmacy school. And like we get into class and the guy is like, or the professor, whoever was teaching was like, raise your hand if this is your first day of college. And like the whole class raised their hand. And I was like, oh my God, these kids probably ran circles around me. But me and shout out to Liz Eith, we failed in misery together. So yeah. And that's why I said maybe I shouldn't get my MBA. Like, if I can't do Management 200. But yeah, let me know. I'm curious to see what classes you're taking. An exciting time. Never a dull moment in your life. You're pretty busy these days.
Yeah, no, just keep on moving.
Keep on keeping on. Yeah.
Until I, implode or come home from work or class one day and I'm crying in my kitchen because
until you retire at age
cabinet open, and I'm just gonna be like, that's the straw that just cracks everything.
Breaks the camel's back. And then you're gonna retire at 40. And then you're gonna be on the LPGA tour.
We're working towards that. That is like my number one scheme right now. I've confirmed no age gap for this. I think I've said this on the podcast before. No age requirement. I am
LPGA. In. Yeah, I thought you were talking about retirement. I was like, you could definitely retire whenever. Yeah, you're locked in on golf. I say we do fast track this work bullshit and get you on the golf course ASAP.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, all right. Well,
good little life catch up.
Bit. Yeah, but that was a good life catch up.
Yeah, everybody, our listeners needed to know.
Full circle.
Full circle. But to our opening, I guess we'll address. Maddie and I went to the Final Four.
Insane.
The men's Final Four. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
You had, after Purdue, you were honestly a little ahead of the curve, I will say. After Purdue beat Utah State in the Sweet 16, you texted me and you were like, I bought a ticket, but you didn't even you bought a ticket you didn't even buy the right one, because it was kind of confusing. You had to buy like the Final Four game and the national championship were like sold separately. So I understand how you could have gotten confused, but you were like, oh, I just bought a ticket. And I was like, well, fuck it, we're going to the Final Four. So, and I was already scheming to go. I'd already got my flights and I was like ready to go. But yeah, we went to the Final Four and it was awesome. We'll definitely dive into it deeper. But first we'll go just talking March Madness in general. We're going to revisit the brackets. So Maddie and I were a part of a bracket challenge, the select group of individuals who we've been doing this for a while now. It's like,
yes, that's college, I think.
Yeah, you, me, shout out to Laura Olney, who maybe he's listening. I hope she's listening. Laura, and then Megan Tanner didn't even fill out a bracket, so we need to give her a shit offline, but she was a part of the group chat.
Oh, then she owes each of us a candle.
She owes each of us a candle, you're right. And then Violet Kukta, who she actually is probably our best performing individual ever. Like
watches
she always
the least amount of March Madness, but highest performing in the bracket.
Highest performing. Like the one year that Texas Tech went to the Final Four, like totally out of the blue, she had it. She called it. So we did do a bracket this year, and the bet was whoever wins gets a candle. I don't know how we're going to work that out, or you guys just, spoiler alert, I'm the winner. So yeah, I can't wait for my candle. You guys can work out how, at least in the men's bracket. I haven't even looked at the women's bracket yet, but I did win the men's bracket, which honestly, crazy. Not exactly sure how I did that. I did have Purdue winning it all. So, and I think I had Purdue UConn in the national championship game. Second place.
You got the two.
I think I did. My Final Four, I mean, I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, my Final Four was kind of whack. I had UConn, Arizona, Purdue, and Kentucky. Kentucky ended up being very wrong.
Yeah,
the other teams are pretty solid.
Kentucky.
Yeah, and you actually had Kentucky winning it all. You finished third. So
pretty impressive. I love a top 3.
Out of 4.
Oh, and not okay. Well, now I feel defensive, but I do want to point out that on our episode before this one, I told you NC State was on a roll, and I put them. We asked each other, like, we had to redo it then, who was going to be in the new Final Four, and I picked NC State for men and women, and I was correct.
You were right. You're right. I'll give you that. I forgot we did that. We did like a little makeup bracket after the Sweet 16, and was that after the Sweet 16?
I think it was. I think it was right after the Sweet 16.
Yeah. So, okay. So your makeup bracket was quite good. Violet was second place. This is again the men's bracket. I'll tell you who was
always a strong performer.
Always a strong. Okay. So if you want to know, her Final Four was Iowa State, which, you know, honestly, they were pretty solid this year.
They were. It's just an interesting.
It's just a very hot take, I guess I would say. It's just very out of left field take. She had Arizona.
Okay, that's not weird.
Yeah, that's not weird. And then she had Purdue and Kentucky. Everybody fell for the Kentucky trap.
Yeah.
So that was that one. Shout out to our bracket. Now I need to find the women's bracket. I wonder where that would be. My brackets.
That's heartbreaking that I didn't win either of them, because especially for the women's. Well,
I don't know if you didn't win the Okay, women's bracket. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, I don't know if you.
Drum roll. We'll have Brian put a drum roll sound in the background.
Drum roll.
But only if I win.
Wait, I gotta find which. I wonder which one this was. Okay. Yeah. You did win. Drum roll ends. You did win the women's bracket. Barely. You barely beat me in the women's bracket, but it's riddled with incorrectness because we were all wrong. You picked Iowa to win. They did not.
Yeah.
But yeah, you and I had the same. I think like we were really close, but you did beat me, and I think you beat me because I'm looking right now. You had South Carolina, UConn. I had Texas. You had NC State in the Final Four. That's why you won. You know how to pick. So you and I both get a candle, I guess.
That made my day.
Yeah, Laura got Violet actually got third. Shout out to Violet. She had UConn winning.
She refuses to be last.
She refuses to be last. She is just persnickety. She's not gonna lose. She may get second to last, but she's not gonna lose. And then Laura, bringing up the rear, she had Texas. So
yeah, it was Tex season.
And tough for Texas because they kind of ran into NC State, who was hot. So shit happens. But so yeah, I wanted to revisit that. Yeah, I can't wait for my candle. You and I both, I guess, can't wait for our candles. So I hope it's a good scent. I'll be contacting the group chat as soon as possible.
Yeah, we can put in our favorite scents and
yeah, exactly. Like we need to get what we deserve. So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you and I are both winners, at least in some worlds. But yeah.
Biggest win though was going to the Final Four. Let's be
biggest
real.
win for sure was going to the Final Four. Yeah, well, let's just start there. So I got in Thursday, you got in Friday. I went to shoot around on Thursday. First off, Phoenix, I mean, it was nice to see the sun for 5 consecutive days. Yeah. I don't know about you. It was a game changer.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Awesome.
That was awesome. Yeah, so I went to shoot around on, it was like a little Carpic family reunion where everybody thought you were my cousin. So you were really fitting in. So yeah, so I went to shoot around on Friday, which was awesome. Like there were a million Purdue fans. That's when I really got a grip for how many Purdue people were there, because shoot around was packed, like a ton of Purdue people. Yeah, you got in on Friday. We watched the women's Final Four, which was awesome. we can talk about that too. And yeah, I guess, I don't know, what was your biggest going in? What were your expectations? Like, did it exceed expectations going to the Final Four? Like for me, going to the Final Four was like a bucket list item for me.
Totally. Yeah, I think
it was awesome.
So obviously, like, we got to watch great basketball, and I think that was like the minimum expectation that I had for a Final Four, as well as just grabbing one of the like Final Four T-shirts that are so cool. They're so cool. Like, and then if you wear them like years later, it's a flex. But honestly, like the thing that was unexpected that caused me to like surpass my expectations were like everyone is there for the same purpose to watch basketball. So everyone, like strangers, people we knew, like everyone was in a great mood.
Yeah.
Which was really
and everybody
cool.
was like chatting with us. We were in the bathroom charging our phones because we were smart and brought our phone charger. And like this girl starts talking to us, and it was Ed Cooley, the coach at Georgetown's daughter. He was like, "Oh yeah, my dad's here. Like he's a coach." And we were like, "For where?" She's like, "Oh, he's at Georgetown." We were like, "No." Like people were just definitely in a good mood. Even I feel like the teams that lost, especially like in the first round, granted, I like don't think any of those were really surprises. Like they were good like Alabama and NC State, good losers in that first round. Like they were all really nice. And I think you're right. Like there were definitely the people who were there for their teams. Like there were a ton of Purdue fans. There were a ton of UConn fans. There were a lot of NC State fans. There were not a lot of Alabama fans. But you know, it's football school. You can't expect them to do both. But there were a lot of just like people there. Like going back to shoot around on Friday, I don't know if you know this about me, but I am an old man magnet. How do I do with men my own age? We could say okay at best, but old men like love to talk to me. I don't know if I just like give off like, I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Like it's always like older men. Like I've realized like 60s to 70s is really where I'm doing my best work these days. But I'm like at shoot around. I'm with my whole family, and I'm the youngest. So I kind of get like pushed up. All these people came in. I get like pushed up to this seat kind of far away. And I'm like talking to the old guys to the left of me. They're just like fans of basketball. They go to the Final Four every year. And I was talking to them about their best experiences, like where their best Final Four was. And they were like, New Orleans Final Four was the best. And I was like, oh my God, if the Final Four was in New Orleans, you and I would still be there. Like we would I
don't know if I'd ever go home.
I'd be drinking a hurricane right now. But so like they were talking. I was talking with them. One guy, they were from Maine, and I was like, "Well, cheer for Purdue," and he was like, "Sure." And he was giving me I was telling him I wanted to go to Maine. He was giving me Maine recs. So if you want to go to Maine, I've got some great recommendations. Okay. And then the guys to my other side were from Minneapolis. So I was talking to them about Minnesota and the Golden Gophers. And I said, well, you better cheer for Purdue, Big Ten. And they said yes. But it was fun. Like, again, they were there not fans of any team. They were just at the Final Four. And they weren't even going to the games. They were just there for the shoot around. So yeah, it was fun to see just like a lot of fans of basketball and obviously like fans of their teams, but they were also just like fans of the game, which is cool.
Yeah.
Big basketball. Big basketball squad.
I also would like to point out that, and Hayley, I'll let you decide if you want to like say what coach it was, because I don't know how like personal or not this is, but
this is funny.
At a like a pre-game to like the Final Four.
Well,
yeah, Hayley's family.
We gotta lead into this. We're like, okay, so the festivities before the game, like it's this Phoenix is huge. It's so spread out. And so like there's like this complex at the stadium that has like bars, restaurants like adjacent to the stadium.
And each team like bought out a bar. Basically.
Yeah, each team like had their own bar.
It was like four corners. Like
it literally
college and NCAA style.
Yeah, exactly. And we like there's a big party at this Purdue bar, and the line was like long line. Like it probably would have taken us, I would say, at least 45 minutes to get in. Easily. And then easily. And we're just like, I think you and I had been drinking. Yeah, we definitely had been drinking. We were, Yeah, we'd had one of those. Somebody had given out like an Alani energy drink, so we were firing on all cylinders. But we were just like standing there, and my dad is we always call him growing up like a local celebrity. Like he's actually not famous, but like in West Lafayette / Purdue terms, he might as well be. So
great at networking.
Great at networking. So we're walking and this guy like grabs his attention. He's like, whenever you walk with Alan Karpik, it's always like Alan, blah, 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 blah. Somebody's trying to talk to him. So this guy starts talking to him and he's like, oh, you want to come in this party? I'm hosting it. And it ends up being like one of his competitors too, which is kind of funny. But this guy just like all of a sudden we get our VIP wristbands and we are in like nobody's business. We get shuffled in and we're back in by the Purdue
playing the Purdue fight song.
Yeah, like it is Purdue
like boomers like 80s music, which was funny because I think like every other basketball team or team that bought out a bar was playing like modern like pop modern bar music, and Purdue was like no. It's
they played the fight song, Shout, or Aerosmith. Yeah, or I Will Smile, like no in between. So we were vibing, to say the least, and I got the biggest beer ever. But so we're like talking. I find some of my parents' friends that I recognize. I'm like, let's go over here and say hi. So we're talking, and Maddie gets talking too, and I'll let you go from here. So she's chatting with this guy, and did you know who he was when he started talking to you? Yeah,
no
okay,
clue. So this guy, Hayley and I are chit-chatting. All of a sudden, this guy walks up to me, and he's like, hey, like, it's great to see you again. And I'm like, what? Because I've never seen this man before in my life. So, and I'm not great with names or people. So I'm like, maybe? Like, and I thought, like, immediately I thought he was going to say, Hayley, like, oh, I'm this professor at the College of Pharmacy.
He does kind of look like...
You were in a class that you never paid attention to and showed up to part of the time. And I remember you. And I was like waiting for that to happen, but that wasn't happening. And all of a sudden he's like, he leans over to you and he's like, you kind of look familiar too, but I don't know your name. I don't know who you are. And then it turns out Hayley's met this person several times.
A lot of times.
Yeah. Several times. And so Hayley's like, oh, it's me. It's Hayley. And then she's like, this is my friend Maddie that we went to college together. And he was like, yeah, I know her. And he's like, you played for me, right? And I was like, what are you talking about?
And then he was like, or did I recruit you?
Yeah.
And you were
and I'm like, no.
For what?
For what? And he's like, volleyball.
Yeah. And I'm like,
definitely not, dude.
And you're like, no. You're like, I cannot play volleyball. And he was like, huh. And this ends up being the Purdue volleyball coach. Purdue has like a very, very good volleyball program, like a nationally, they're always like ranked stellar. And I've met this guy, like the Purdue volleyball coach, like at least 10 times. And he is like, he sees me, says 5'6". I don't know you. He sees Maddie and is like 5'10". She could be a volleyball player. Like he thought you were like a recruit or something.
Yeah.
Class of 2015, St. Viator.
That was hysterical.
Yeah, we were laughing.
Immediately texted everyone I know and just said I just got recruited to play college volleyball from my D1 coach.
How many years eligibility you got left?
It's pretty cool. Whenever it happens.
Yeah.
And then he was the one that just said like I was kind of talking with him. Once he knew that he didn't recruit me, I think he was like, oh, I don't have to care about this anymore.
He's like, gotta go.
Move on. But and then it was hilarious because he was the one that gave the advice. He's like, yeah, if you're with the Karpiks, like, he's like, it's too complicated to explain how you and Hayley know each other. Even though I'm like, doesn't everyone here know each other from college? Like, isn't that the point that we're here?
Yeah, isn't this everybody's origin story? We all went to Purdue.
Like,
Dave.
He's like, just say your cousins. And I'm like, okay.
And that's honestly what kicked it off. And then we were like walking everybody where people thought you were related to us.
Yeah.
Like we ran into Robbie Hummel's mom, another Purdue legend.
She thought I was a cousin too.
And like her and my dad are friends. And she was like, is this like another Karpik? And we were like,
yeah, that I've never met before.
No,
like
but
I honestly,
you're a long lost Karpik. I mean, I honestly could see the resemblance. We all are kind of like borderline gingers. So I kind of see it, but Yeah, so then we went into the game. It was nice. We saw like some other, Addison, Kirsten, Tom. We saw some good college pals.
Yeah,
And it was just like
those are the
the environment.
pharmacy peeps.
Yeah, some pharmacy people. The environment was honestly amazing. And like they had that whole Westgate that had like shit you could do, drinks, and then there was like the whole party area. But it was honestly just like amazing the number of Purdue fans. I
Yeah,
was
that was
I wasn't
like another.
surprised. Yeah, I can't say I was surprised just because like I had a feeling, Purdue hadn't been to the Final Four in 44 years, so I wasn't like surprised to see that many, but it was like it felt like Mackey in the desert,
Yeah,
like it was
definitely.
popping. Yeah. And that first game was fun. I mean, Purdue, like, I think I was on edge the whole time. I mean, people in my section were like freaking out with 3 minutes to go when they were up like 18. And I was like, I think we can relax now. But it was, yeah, I mean, it was fun to see them win a game. Obviously, they didn't win the second game. We'll start. The first game was great. You and I stayed. Yeah, did you stay for the second game? Some of it.
Yeah, I did. I stayed for the second game, which was also great because it was like one of those things where I was like creating false hope because I was like, oh,
Me too.
Alabama's playing UConn competitively. I'm like,
You're like,
surely
oh, it's
Purdue
kind of
can do the
close.
same. Like,
yeah.
And then Alabama, like, got tired and everything kind of trailed off in the second half. And I'm like, ooh, this seems to be a foreshadow of what is probably to come.
Yeah. But so yeah, the first game energy was amazing. Like, yeah, you kind of like you're watching Alabama and you're like, oh, as a Purdue fan, I was like, oh man, it would be nice if they pulled off the upset here, but it kind of didn't happen. But yeah, the environment was crazy. It was just even like there were a lot of UConn fans there too. I mean, the second game was pretty loud, but yeah, I mean, it was fun. What were your thoughts on watching basketball in a football stadium?
So that would be one, if I do it all over again, knowing now that they hold them in a football stadium, I think
always, basically.
Yeah, which I had no idea because
neither did
that was my first one.
Yeah.
That I would, I'd probably prefer the like 200 or 300 level sections because where I was sitting, I was watching like the court whenever the possession was on my side of the, on my side of the court, like if that makes sense. Like, but when like the teams would switch possessions and go opposite of where I was sitting, then it was like almost impossible to like follow the ball or anything. So I was just then watching the Jumbotron.
Yeah, the Jumbotron, yeah.
But no, my seats were still amazing. And I think like I was sitting by majority Purdue fans, but then there were 2 UConn fans behind us, but they like weren't UConn like grads. Like they were just fans
casual,
like go to the Final Four every year, but like casual UConn fans. And then there was another, like there was a like pocket of NC State people, and they were really fun. Because once Purdue won, like they almost became Purdue fans in the sense that like they just wanted a fun, close basketball game.
The NC State fans were like epitome of just happy to be here. They were like hype, and then when they lost, because I don't think they thought they were gonna win, they were like, all right, let's keep the good times rolling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, the seating is hard. Like it's so interesting. I've never minus like some. Yeah, I haven't watched basketball in a football stadium in a very long time. So it's interesting. The grade is so low. Like the bottom row, like it's so not steep that like we stood. I mean, my seats were awesome, so I can't complain. But like I stood most of the time because the grade's so low that you kind of can't see totally over people's heads. But I would agree. Like if I was back if I was purchasing, like I think the 200 would be good. I mean, you're still it's just crazy how far you are, even like how far you are from the ball. Like, from the court, like no matter, unless you're like literally in the very front, even then you're still pretty far from the ball. And you can still see, and the Jumbotron's great. So it's,
it actually some champagne problems. Now that I've like seen Purdue and seen like as an alumni, I've gotten to experience a Final Four where like my team is in it. It is like a great argument to go to the women's Final Four next year for me, because they play typically in basketball
stadiums,
arenas.
yeah.
Yeah, like larger ones that can hold like a bunch of people, but like a basketball arena. So if you are like a fan of basketball
you
and
could
want
see
to
the game
see
better.
a whole basketball game and be like in it, so to speak, then that could be fun. I also didn't realize that all of the schools were doing like watch-alongs at their like home arenas, and I was like thinking about it in my head, and I was like, that'd be really cool to be at Mackey, like watching this.
Yeah, it would have
like
been cool to be on
like
campus.
Obviously, way prefer like going to the Final Four actually, but like as if I was back in college and a student, that would have been sweet.
I mean, I think back to like memorable moments when I was at Purdue. Obviously when Purdue beat Ohio State in football, that was crazy. But also I think back to like, where were you? You weren't there?
I went to Wisconsin specifically that weekend.
Oh, because you're like, this game's gonna be shit.
Yeah, Purdue doesn't have a chance. This is perfect. And all of a sudden, my phone is blowing up with Snapchats of my good friends rushing the field at Mackey. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Cool. Don't rub it in. But then I think back to another one is Sweet 16 2019 when Purdue beat Tennessee. I'm watching with you, Laura, maybe some other people, and we shotgunned a Spotted Cow, which is like the most disgusting beer to shotgun. Beer. Like that should be savored. But like that was like, it would be, I mean, and then we sprinted to Harry's. Like that
we
would
be
fun
like
to be
pajamas.
I was literally
along with everyone else at Harry's.
I was like,
and we were in like a dream state.
Yeah, it was all like they think about that. Like it would have been crazy to be on campus. I mean, obviously it was like way better to be at the Final Four, but like to be a student would have been fun. Like seeing the videos of all the hoopla on campus. Like they were like storming State Street and stuff. I'm like, man, that would be fun. Granted, we were still having plenty of fun in the desert, but
true. Well, and that reminds me, I have to give a shout out. So to literally no one's surprise, Hayley's family is also active. And so during this incredible weekend, we're all having a great time. They're like, hey, we're going to go like look around this campus, but then we also might go for like a hike. Is that something you'd be interested in? And I'm like, no, not really. I'm having a great weekend. I don't need to get bit by a snake or a spider or some large insect. I've seen enough cacti on the Uber rides. Like I feel like I'm in the desert. I don't need any more of it. And so I was like, oh yeah, you guys go have fun.
You respectfully declined.
I did a workout at my
at your hotel.
And then I
took yourself to dinner.
Took myself out for dinner and to watch the women's championship game. And I need to shout out the South Carolina fans that I was watching with, because they were.
Did you tell them about our podcast? Fun. Did you get drunk enough to tell them about our podcast?
I did.
All right. Good job.
I don't think we gained a listener there. Did not seem like that was something they were into. Can I be honest? They told me, could be lying to be nice, but they said they didn't watch a lot of podcasts, and I have no reason not to believe them.
That's okay.
Watch,
that's you tried.
Listen.
Thank you. I was gonna correct you on that, but
sure.
That's okay.
But no, they were awesome. They were so much fun. Everyone was having a good time. I ate a lot of like really good sushi and tasty, expensive food.
Yeah, because when you're in the desert, the first thing you want is sushi.
This place is known for their food, though, and it was good. Amazing.
You were sending me pictures as I was on a hike.
Yeah, no, and it was awesome. And then I like, finished what I was, finished the game. Obviously, Iowa lost, but it was a great game. It was cool to watch. And
it was a good
then
game.
I went and walked like the first like 4 holes of a golf course, and no one stopped me. And it was really picturesque. And I don't have to worry about running into scary insects or
you had yourself a day.
Like on a golf. I did.
This is Sunday, so like after Saturday, I felt like everybody was like exhausted. Like it was a day of like R&R. It was Sunday. Granted, we did go on a hike, but yeah, you're like sending me pictures. You're posting on Instagram. You're like, look at me having myself a day, and I'm like, well. My dad's like, how's Maddie doing? I'm like, great. I think she's having more fun right now than she would be with us. Because we went to Arizona State and we checked out Tempe and like went on a hike. went to lunch. You definitely had more fun than we did. But what else did we? Oh, we went downtown Phoenix. We went to see where the Diamondbacks play, because the Diamondbacks broke my heart last year. Ripped to the Phillies. But yeah, it was like New Year, New Phillies. I agree. The last year, no bueno. But we had to check out the Diamondbacks, and it was crazy. Like the Suns were playing a game, and you would have never known. I was like the Phoenix Suns are playing at that moment, and you literally would have never known. I was like, does anybody around here? Downtown Phoenix was kind of a ghost town. It was interesting, but
oh wow,
yeah. But I'm glad you had a nice day. And Phoenix is known for their golf courses. I'm glad you were able to get out and walk. Sometimes you gotta act like you own the place.
Yeah,
nobody's gonna stop you.
Yeah, it's kind of what I did. And man, I will also say another funny tidbit of the weekend. The now retired coach, and my family has heard me complain about him quite a bit now, so I'll try and keep this brief. But it was like a Where's Waldo. I saw, and you saw him too. The amount of times I saw Roy Williams. That weekend was
that's crazy. I saw him in the airport.
You saw him in the airport. I saw him once when I was walking towards my seats. I saw him once in line for food. And
was he wearing a mask?
He's wearing a mask, and the light blue
cortisone. Yeah, and his mask was like a UNC mask. I'm like, Roy, if you're trying to hide using your mask, it's not working.
Doing a terrible job. I was gonna ask for like a photo. Like, he's one of the greatest college basketball coaches.
I thought about it.
And all of a sudden, like, these two little kids, like 9 and 10-year-olds, with UNC jerseys on, where like UNC's not there. Like, their wealthy parents are
NC
just taking
State
them.
Is there
taking them to this game, okay? And they run up to him and they're like, Mr. Williams. They're like, can you sign this basketball? And he says, not now, kids. It like walks away.
I'm dead. Like, okay, caveat off of that. I'm glad you didn't ask for anything.
Small children, I'm gonna just stay quiet.
Yeah. Okay, caveat on that. I think I may have asked you this when we were there. Don't know. But would you okay, we're going super hypothetical. You have children in this scenario. Would you take your children under the age of 12 to the Final Four? Would you pay for them? No. Maybe like 15. You
need to have a favorite team, or like a love of basketball, like, locked in. Because like, how do I know that like kid isn't going to grow up to be obsessed with like tennis or golf or something like that? And then I'm like, well, then I should have taken you to the US Open or the Masters or something. Like, why am I spending money on a Final Four?
If my kid was like, I'm trying to think, like, back when I was 12, Purdue, like, it was like the Robbie Hummel, Chris Kramer, Juwan Johnson era. I'm like, okay, that team, if Robbie Hummel doesn't tear his ACL, probably could have easily gone to the Final Four. I'm like, would my parents have taken me to that? I don't know. But I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, it's a fuck ton of money. I just can't imagine spending what you spent on the seat for a child.
Right.
That seems like a lot of money to be spending on a kid.
That is an entire season of AAU. Like, or T-ball or what, I don't.
That kid's doing nothing else. I was like,
I guess say that now, and then I'll go and like look up the price of like what it actually costs to put kids through sports.
I do think you should check yourself on that.
Sure,
it's probably a lot more than that.
Astronomical.
It's probably a lot more than that.
I'm probably like.
I was kind of surprised how many children I saw, and I guess like for an event,
there were.
Like, I would wonder if I'm at the Super Bowl.
Family friendly.
It is for sure very family friendly.
Yeah, I'm to the point I think you're about to make, where you probably see less kids at a Super Bowl.
Which I would hope, because a Super Bowl ticket is
also more expensive.
Yeah. But I was surprised how many. I would be saying, catch you later, kid. Deuces. But that's just me as a horrible, not actual parent. So good thing I'm not a parent. Don't have to make those decisions right now. But my kid would not be going to the Final Four. It seems like a lot of donuts to be spending. But
unless they were like the number 1 recruit in the nation, like freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
Then I'd say no. And based on me and Brian's genetics, if in this hypothetical situation this happened, it wouldn't happen.
Your kid would be a swimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of this. None of these land sport. Maybe if we're lucky, but yeah. I was gonna say another thing I noticed. Oh, just how many tall people there were. This is my random caveat. Just like so many ex-basketball players, like the average height of the Final Four was really tall. Yeah. It was just like every time you would look around, like, and again, it wouldn't be like somebody you recognize, but it would just be like, oh, you definitely played basketball. Like it was tall people galore. Like I would love to know the average height. Again, we're taking out these kids. Take out the kids. What was the average height at the Final Four? Because it was probably taller than, I don't know. That was just like some taller than normal.
But I think I might have been the average. Like
yeah, like I feel like I felt really short all weekend, and I'm like 5'6". I'm not like some giant, but yeah. And then the final game, we go to like, yeah. So it's like it's later in the day. You guys like you and my brother are at the Airbnb like working hard, and I was hardly working. So you guys are working, but it was kind of a late game. It was the eclipse. How could I forget? It was the solar eclipse. So we had our eclipse glasses that we went to the public library. I pushed some like old lady out of the way to get these glasses because I really wanted a pair of glasses because I kind of forgot.
Didn't think it was all that interesting.
Okay, hot take.
A bunch of other people did. So
yeah, I
mean, nothing wrong with that.
Where we were in Phoenix was only
like the moon
was going over the sun, which is exactly what it was. I mean, I think it would be cooler if we were in totality, but Phoenix, it was like
in my mind,
70%.
I was more expecting like what if which would be a
what are you gonna say? What if they run into each other?
No, no. Yeah. I was like, what if one like disappeared for a second, but then like reappeared like a magic trick, but
like the quarter.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So you were going for celestial miracles. I was honestly more surprised. Okay, the last eclipse was during pharmacy school orientation. They didn't let us go outside to see it. And this time it was sunny. It was actually kind of cool. I thought it was cooler than I expected. And then I was on a run mid-eclipse.
You know that.
What? That it was I wasn't allowed to go outside?
And when the last eclipse was, like you're dating it to these other
it was like August 21st, 2017. I was in pharmacy school orientation.
No idea what I was doing.
They were like
not there.
You were definitely at Purdue. You were starting your junior year.
Well, I wasn't looking at the eclipse, I can tell you.
You probably had no clue. You were like, why are all these people outside in these glasses?
I was like, wow.
You were probably staring at the sun.
After school club is empty today.
Yeah, you're like, you're on your 7th drink at Harry's. You're like, where is everybody? Yeah. So I thought the eclipse, like I was on a run and then I was having like all of these thoughts like, wow, it's an eclipse. This is so rare. What if Purdue wins the national championship? Because it would be like equally as rare. Like I really mid-run was when I had my peak optimism for this game. I was like, we're going to win and I'm going to be so hype and it's going to be awesome. And then we started, you and I started.
Endorphins did that.
Endorphins do amazing things.
Yeah.
And then you and I started drinking.
Yeah, we were pre-gaming.
And then we kept gaming.
We went to the
same bar.
Met up with Kirsten. Yeah.
And we met up with some friends. We met up with some West Side High, some West Lafayette junior senior high school people. So
caught up with them. Games
and we were
started.
Drinking.
Yeah. No, it was a.
We had like a full photo shoot.
It was a marathon of a day.
We had a full photo shoot outside of the stadium, and then we just cut the line. Like the line to get into the stadium was really long.
Because you knew that guy.
No, I didn't know him. I pretended.
Wait,
yeah. I had a feeling you didn't. So like we definitely lost.
I thought he went to high school with you.
No. So we totally lost track of time. We were at this.
He was chatting like he went to high school with you. That was incredible.
Not the guy
absolute stranger.
Not the guy at the in line to go into the stadium.
Yes, to go in. Yes,
I did not. The people before, yes, they were people I went to high school with.
Him.
Yes.
You didn't know the guy in line?
No. So you and I,
That's
like,
insane. That's
you and I
hilarious.
are at this bar.
That might be my favorite moment of the weekend because
Yeah.
I was like, see, Hayley, that's when I had the most hope that Purdue was going to win the game because I was like, what great luck that Hayley ran into this dude that she knows. And now we're going to get in on time and I'm going to get to my seat. I'm like, everything's falling into place.
Yeah.
That's what I thought Purdue was going to win.
Only because I put in legwork for it to fall into place. But so you and I are at this pregame.
Did he ask for your number?
He had a child with him. No, he was like older. Yeah, okay. No. Again, old men. So okay, so we were like running late into the game. Not that late, but like it was like 5, and I told you we were leaving at 4:45, but somebody kept buying me drinks, social. And so we we're like running. The line to get into the stadium is like a mile long, and we were there like an hour and 20 minutes early, but like we wanted to be in our seats probably at that point. So I just like walk into the line and just chat up some guy in a Purdue shirt, and he was from Fort Wayne, and I was like, oh my God, I lived for 2 months in Fort Wayne during my pharmacy school rotations. And so I was like, oh my God, I lived in Fort Wayne. And so like I'm chatting him up, I'm talking about, I mean, I do have some family from Fort Wayne, so I was really thrown in that Columbia City. I was like, yeah, I got some family in Columbia City. He's like, oh my gosh, I went to Columbia City High School. I was like, get out of town. Like,
dude, everyone is going to unfollow us now. They're like, we're listening to some line cutters.
Lying people. We needed to get in the stadium. And honestly, just started talking to this guy, and then all of a sudden, I just was like, I must keep talking to him until we get in the stadium. And then all of a sudden we were in the stadium, and I was like, all right, we can stop talking to this guy now. But yeah, he was like from Fort Wayne. I'm like, where did you fly out of? Did you fly out of Fort Wayne? He's like, no, Detroit. And I was like, oh yeah, of course you flew out of, like, really working my magic. And we got in the stadium on time, got to watch warm-ups, and then
the intros
were
cool.
dope. The intro was awesome. I was very hyped during that. And, the game did not go... The game, in retrospect, which I knew I would feel this way, I knew I would feel better about the game with time. In retrospect, UConn was the better. They played that game perfectly. Offensively, defensively, they did exactly what you needed to do to shut Purdue down. And they were, I mean, think about Purdue had like, I think one singular 3-point basket. But yeah, so like they played the perfect game. They were, I think also UConn, that this UConn team will probably go in history as one of the better national championship teams. I think like the first off, the game they played was like perfect. They executed so well. Defensively, they were amazing. And I think like Purdue had to do everything exactly right to even be competitive. And like, they only make 1 3-pointer. They, Mason Gillis has 0 points. Fletcher Lawyer has 0 points. Like there was nothing, not to say there was nothing they could have done. I think UConn just played the perfect game. They were running some crazy sets. I thought I really do think, and it depends. I think this team, the UConn team that won, again, going back to back, granted, they had a very different cast and crew than they did last year, but I think this team will go down as like one of the better. I would love to see this UConn team match up against some of like the great national champions of the past, the quote unquote great national champions of the past. Not to say Purdue couldn't have done better. Not saying they couldn't have won this game I just think like UConn was superior defensively during that game. They were insane. But in the moment I was unhappy. I was not thrilled. I was like the whole time I was like, I hate Dan Hurley. I was like, fuck this guy, get him off the court. It was a little hard. I mean, in the first, it was a little hard to watch just because they just didn't, I don't know, Purdue couldn't. But that, the one thing that was awesome, and this reminds me, I haven't watched One Shining Moment yet, which is like my favorite part of the whole tournament. The song.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I haven't watched that yet. I may have to watch that tonight. But that dunk by Camden Heidi.
Yeah.
That was sick. That was sick. And like the crowd went crazy. I feel like everybody in the crowd went crazy. Like no matter who you were for, you were like, wow.
That was cool.
That white dude can jump.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they lost. In retrospect, I feel better about it. In the moment, I was like, fuck this shit. But as it's grown on me, I'm like, well, UConn was really good. And they were like, they are a bunch of dogs. My one friend from Philly, who's a big UConn fan, like that's what he said all years. He's like at every position, they're just a bunch of dogs. Like they'll outwork you, they'll out everything you. And I'm like, yeah, they're really good. So hats off to them. I would have loved to have won, but you know, as I've been saying, my tagline from this has been, you win some, you lose some. But if you're a Purdue fan, you know that it's you win some, you lose most. So
Yep.
At least we won the first game. I would have been really mad if we lost the first game.
Yeah, I know. And then you just have to like pretend to have a good time the rest of the
time. Fake fun. Oh, can't do that. Can't do that.
Yeah, no, I think you summed it up. Obviously wish Purdue would have played a little bit better. I think if you're Purdue, I think you know what UConn's going to try to do, which is because literally everyone and their mom knew that it was pretty much they were going to let Edie score 40, 50, 60 points, and their game plan was just to outscore the rest of Purdue. And so, you know, we needed one or some. Yeah, right. And we needed one or two other people to get hot shooting, and it didn't happen, so we lost. And it stung like in the moment. But agree with you, looking back, the better team did win. Not much you can do about it. And I thought overall, still great that the Big Ten, made a Final Four. That
and in the men's and women's.
A minute. Yeah. It's been a minute since that's happened, and we had the Big Ten, and both championships. So
and both will continue their drought of national championships, but at least we were there.
Yeah, but we got to one, which is progress. So
exactly, and Purdue went to a Final Four
and the moon.
And the moon. That's and they can't take the moon away from us.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, it was an amazing experience. I genuinely think it will be unforgettable. I'm like so glad you were there. So glad we went. It was awesome. And yeah, maybe one day, maybe next time we go to the Final Four, we'll win it all.
So, question to close out this episode.
Yeah.
What is the next like big sporting event you'd want to go to?
That's a really good question.
Think of it, but before you say it, let me try to guess what you're thinking.
Okay,
You think you got it?
It's kind of between two, but that doubles your chances of getting one of them right. Yeah, I've got it in my mind, and then I'll try to guess yours, and I think I know yours.
Phillies World Series for you.
Okay, for sure. Definitely. That was not what I had in my mind, but definitely for sure. I feel
like that's like possible too.
Yeah, like that could. Yeah, I mean, they have
We're way closer to getting that than. Then I would be a Cubs World Series.
Yeah, and I mean I went to Phillies in the NLDS last year, and it was probably the greatest sporting event I've ever been to. And it was insane, and I was there in a great game. Imagine the World Series.
Times 7. Yeah.
And I've been in the city of Philadelphia when they were in the World Series, but I have not been to a World Series game. So yeah, that would have to be very high on my list. What I had in mind was Wimbledon, which kind of the first thing that came to my mind, but I feel like that would be a really cool experience.
That doesn't surprise
or the Olympics swimming, because I do love.
No,
swimming.
That's a great one too. One too.
Yours, if I had to bet, it would be the Masters.
Yes, absolutely.
A tradition unlike any other.
No, and apparently, like it's invite only, pretty much. So. Very difficult.
You can go to like pre-Masters events though, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to do that.
I'm gonna find you an in.
Yeah, we just gotta. Yeah, I gotta.
Well, when you're on the LPGA tour, I'm pretty sure that would guarantee you an invite. Right?
Good point. Great. Okay, so that's a possibility.
Yeah.
And then I'm totally kidding. this is a sports / comedic podcast, but wouldn't it be funny? Like every grad school networking event I go to, I'm just like, so
do you go to the Masters?
Do you go to the Masters?
I think, when you're setting goals for yourself in grad school, I think that should be one. Like, find a contact who could get me into the Masters.
Yeah, imagine
you need to start thinking this way. This is innovative thinking. This is how you get what you want.
And they're good at microeconomics. Like you're my new best friend. What more could you ask for?
Whoever you are. I think you need to add that to the to-do list for the Masters. I mean, you're forking up some change for that. You might as well get something out of it besides this silly little degree.
Right.
Yeah, who cares about that? That's a good question, though. That's a very good question.
Yeah, it's fun when you're, working individual with no real responsibility, where you can start to attend these sorts of things,
Yeah, I will say that was a big...
in 6th grade. I was like, these are just all pipe dreams.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna...
It was crazy to for the Final Four just to pick up and go,
Yeah.
Oh, it's this week. We're doing it. There was something that was fun about the pulling the trigger and again, feeling very fortunate to have that flexibility in my lifestyle. Or when we're driving to the airport and again, you and my brother are frantically typing on your laptops, trying to work. And I was like, wow. Again, I was hardly working that day.
What's that like?
Yeah, I was keeping that. Normally I am that way, but I was just keeping the status green those days. So yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it
was a good time.
Good time had by all. But we had to do a Final Four recap. Yeah, it was a good time. I missed the desert.
And then next episode, I am going to put Hayley through a game of trivia, but we're gonna call it something cool. So there's a little teaser for the next episode.
Yeah, they're on the edge of their seats.
That's what we do here. We create entertainment.
Okay.
Well, thank you everyone. Thanks for listening to our Final Four recap. It was insane. If you haven't gone to a Final Four, I recommend you do that. Yeah. Get working on that. And then also, besides working on that, if you have not yet followed us on our socials, go ahead and find us. We make it easy for you. We put all the links in every episode description. You just got to click on it, click the follow button. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share this episode with all your friends. We're a very niche group, but we're a group nonetheless.
We feel dead air.
We're growing. So we're not going to be able to call ourselves niche for that much longer. So if you want in, well, it's still cool. Now's the time to do that. Okay. All right.
This is some insane marketing.
This has been your weekly dose of the Sports Medicine Podcast. Bye.
Bye.